My perfect bike, if I had to say, my perfect bike would be everything about the MT-10, but with the looks of this bike. If they did like a retro-inspired MT-10, whatever it takes, I would buy that bike. What's up, guys? We have a huge thunderstorm coming, so the goal is to get on the bike as fast as possible and optimize riding time. The topic I want to talk about today is bikes that I considered when I bought this one, and bikes that I still am considering today, and ones that I, might get going forward. You're supposed to wait 24 hours on a GoPro mount before you use it. I waited 13 minutes. We're not going to leave it here the whole time, but we're going to leave it there for a little bit just to give us some spice to life. Probably the next purchase I would for sure get as a bike goes. I've been looking heavily at the new 2024 YZ450. I think it's the FX I've been looking at. I want something for motocross-centric riding, personally. Because like I said, I feel like I have the bike that does the street stuff really well, and I think all I'm missing is a motocross bike, for trail riding, going back to motocross. I want to do triples and doubles again, man. I want to hit the whoops section. I want to slide in those dirt turns. I miss the fuck out of that. Aside from motocross bikes, there's a lot of street bikes that I've also considered, and so I want to cover all those in this topic video. But I'm also in this video, I have a new road I want to go check out that a friend recommended to me. So I'm going to put you guys on a time lapse, and we're going to drive there and continue the topic video whenever we get there. Of course, because I'm on a time crunch with this bad weather coming, first I get 20 minutes waiting on a train. So I cut off the time lapse so you guys wouldn't have to watch that. And now it's a bridge letting a boat pass, which I think we're finally through. So I'm gonna have to start this video before we get on location. Anyway, bikes I'm considering. Of course, huge Yamaha fan. Picked the Yamaha for the dirt bike. I'm also looking at the MT-10. I always have looked at the MT-10. I think it's a beautiful bike. It's got a lot of power. It's the CP4 sound and engine. What is it, 140, 160 horsepower, something ridiculous, but a ton of torque. I just don't like the looks is the only thing. The only gripe I have about it is the looks. The weight, it's got a little heft to it, because they've cheaped out on some of the parts that the R1 gets so that the MT-10 is not as light and not as expensive, which I do appreciate. I think that hits the audience probably better. It seems like a lot of people don't care about the weight of their bike as much as the spec sheet, and I mean, you look no further than Kawasaki and all of their SX products to confirm that. But I mean, I really like the sound of the MT-10. I like the power. They look really comfortable. I'd love to ride one. I think if I rode one, it would probably win me over. And it seems like over time, the more I look at them, the more I come around to the looks and think that they're not as bad as I thought. My perfect bike, if I had to say, my perfect bike would be everything about the MT-10, but with the looks of this bike. If they did a retro-inspired MT-10, whatever it takes, I would buy that bike. But would that, fit a niche in the market? Would it sell well enough to rationalize them making it? I don't know. I can't say. Just because I want something real bad doesn't mean it would sell. The reason I didn't go with the MT-10 is just, when I had the R1, I didn't appreciate the exhaust note as much. I mean, everybody complimented it. Everybody loves the CP4. But when I had it, it seemed like the sound you get on the bike when riding it is not necessarily the sound that you hear on videos and stuff. I don't know if it was the particular exhaust I had. I just had the stock titanium tip with a cat delete mid pipe. So basically straight pipe, because there's nothing in that stock exhaust tip. It's 1 pound of just titanium. So I mean, you would expect GP sounds, and it was pretty close, but I like that more deep honk of the Aprilias, and so it should be similar between the two, but for whatever reason the Aprilias just sound better. The only problem is the Aprilias have reliability issues, as you get with every European bike. To move on from here, I've also considered the VMAX because, you know, I've never had a cruiser. And as far as cruisers go, if there was a cruiser I would consider, it would be the VMAX, the muscle bike. You know, I would love to have a V engine, a V4, at some point in my life. I also like V2s. I'm just really infatuated as I age. I fall more and more in love with you know, V2s and V4s than the inline 2s, inline 3s, inline 4s that I've always played with. But yeah, the VMAX is very powerful, kind of timeless with the looks, though it's not for everybody, and that's okay. I really like the looks. I think it's cool. I bet it's super comfortable. Shit on everything. A lot of sport bikes you can really beat up on with that VMAX, even though, you know, it looks like kind of like a cruiser to a person who doesn't know any better. So if I were to consider a cruiser, that would probably be the one. The problem is, my current situation is I have to take the bike, you know, through my grass, which is sometimes wet, up a ramp, and then into my house, and the weight of the VMAX is just too much. So that's kind of like a deal breaker when it comes to bikes like that. Like, if they're too heavy, I really can't do it in my current situation. So that kind of ruled it out completely this time when I was trying to buy one. Another bike I've considered a lot recently, man. Dude, I know everyone I know that has had a Ducati or ridden with someone who has a Ducati has a story of how it broke, how it costs a lot of money, how it's leaking oil, how blah, 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 blah. But there's always going to be that pull of that product, you know? I mean, I know I can't afford a Ferrari. I still want one. And one day I hope to be able to set aside the money for a Ducati. The problem is that you have to factor in the maintenance, which is super expensive, unless you can, you know, yourself set aside some budget to buy all the specialized tools and stuff you need. Because, you know, over the years, having Japanese cars, having Japanese bikes, I've amassed all the tools basically that I need. If I ever need something, I can just usually buy that one tool, or I already have it, which is super nice. And when you buy like a European bike, like a Ducati, with, you know, you're kind of getting into a whole new set of tools that you have to amass. Some of the really simple jobs on a Japanese bike are really complicated on those. A lot of people have problems like just rolling off the dealership and like leaking oil. Jared Campisi, Moto Million, two big name YouTubers had stuff like this happen. So they're having to customize a bike, not to like go faster, just to like not leak oil, just to work as a bike. That's kind of like pretty off-putting when you pay the amount of money you pay for a Ducati. You know what I'm saying? You expect the best and you don't necessarily get the best. But they sound great. They have some cool technology. They're very, very unique, and there's always that flex factor of the Ducati. I love the V4s. I think they're an incredible. I think that's an incredible bike. I love the, what is it, Desmodrovic or whatever, the valves and everything. Sounds really good. They all have dry clutches, or a lot of them have dry clutches. The carbon fiber on the V4s, the winglets. I love the bikes. It's just, can I afford once it breaks? I feel like personally a Ducati would be like a second bike. So, you know, when it breaks, and I don't say if, I say when it breaks, you know, you have another bike to ride while it's in the shop, and sometimes it can be in the shop for months. I think it was Jarrett, whenever his was leaking oil. It was brand new bike, took it home, leaking oil, brought it right back to Ducati, and he didn't have his bike for a month. And, you know, they have a dealer network, but where's the closest Ducati to me? Where's the closest Ducati to you? That stuff really is important, again, if you don't have all the specialized tools, because, you know, the maintenance is specialized. And I mean, dude, it's crazy. Like, for some maintenance items, you need to remove the entire engine, the tank and everything. It's a lot of work. It's a big investment of money, and then it's a big investment knowing that it's gonna cost you more money. So it's kind of why I've stayed away from European bikes in general, and especially Ducati. But here recently, I looked at the spec sheet of the V2, the Panigale, 959, it's a V2. Sounds really good. Like I said, I'm falling in love with these all these Vs, and it's a V2. Sounds really good. I think 150 horsepower out of a 959. That's on 2 cylinders. So that right there, the spec sheet, the power is super impressive. What does that tell you? that means the compression ratio is probably pretty high. That means a lot of the components in that engine are being pushed pretty damn hard. And the confirmation to this was while looking on Facebook Marketplace, I found a 959 V2 next close to me, and it has 12,000 miles, and he's like 12,000 miles on the body. That's right there. That's like Subaru things, but it's a Ducati thing as well. He's like 12,000 miles on the body, 500 miles on the engine. So you're looking at a nearly brand new bike. You know, the average mileage a person puts on is 12,000 miles on a car. So maybe that's, you know, a year or two worth of mileage, or a year for somebody who rides a decent amount. And it's already blown its engine in 12,000 miles, dude. That is insane. So that's the stuff you got to worry about. That's the kind of thing you have to accept. Not that it might happen. You have to accept that it realistically, very likely could happen to you. Now, I've never owned a Ducati, so I could be wrong. You know, if you guys have owned one, in the comments, let me know your experience, if it's been different. But this is just what I hear. My neighbor used to have a friend he'd ride with a lot with a new Ducati. He bought a V4, and the first day, you know, they ride together. They're doing highway pulls, and the engine blew up on the guy's nearly brand new bike. And I don't know anything about the guy. I don't know anything about his, you know, break-in period. How old was it? Blah, 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 modification. I don't know anything. All I know is this is a pattern that I see when it comes to people owning these bikes, and it's not a good pattern. And so they do pull me aesthetically. The sound is incredible. The, you know, brand recognition, the flex, like I said, I can't afford to fix it, okay? And it's kind of, I'm already in that situation with my car. Like, sure, I could afford to build the race car, but now I can't afford to race the race car because I can't afford to build it a second time. And so if you have enough money to where you buy the Ducati, and if you have some $5,000, $6,000 thing go wrong and you're good with that, hey, by all means, man, enjoy it. Flex on everybody. They're incredible machines. It's just, I'm not in that place right now. What else have I been thinking about? With my bike, certain companies are making like a cowling system. And, you know, if you were into these bikes at a certain time, if you're into a certain era, the cowls on these retro bikes can look really good. Some people like it. Most people I've talked to don't really like it that much. But anyway, they make a cowl for this bike, you know, a front cowl around the light and one on the back that covers the seat, and it matches the colors and everything. Really cool, a little bit more aerodynamics, probably some more protection from like the wind and rain and everything. Something I like, but I haven't necessarily pulled the trigger yet because I'm just kind of on the fence. But in that same realm, the Street Triple that Triumph makes, or is it the Speed Triple, the 1200? They make an RS version, which is like their retro-styled 1200 Speed Triple. Really sick bike. So you get that signature triple sound, but instead of like a 890 or whatever this is like over 1100 cc's out of a triple. So you get all that beautiful torque, and they have like some top end to it, and there's a lot of displacement. So it's a beast of a bike. I want to say they're near 200 horsepower. The only problem, and I like the looks, you know, if I loved the looks, if I really was infatuated with the looks, I could just buy those cowls and put it on mine and have something similar enough to tide me over. But if I were really infatuated with that look, I could have gotten the Speed Triple when I bought this. It's just I'm kind of on the fence, and I'm not sure. I like the retro looks to a point, and then I like, you know, the no fairings as well. So for me, this was a perfect fit. And again, you know, it's not necessarily the problems you'll get with a Ducati, but all these European bikes, man, they have reliability that's not perfect. And that's not to like rag on Europe. Domestic cars, you know, American-made cars have, you know, some reliability concerns. So it's just something that, you know, manufacturing vehicles outside of like Japan and South Korea, there are just some reliability issues. These countries and these companies seem to have mastered manufacturing in a certain way that keeps the reliability incredibly high, and not every country in the world can replicate that. That doesn't mean the domestic and the European bikes are bad. It's just, you know, one thing to think about, one thing to factor in when making your decision. And I've always prioritized durability, reliability, longevity, as well as, you know, holding the value that I put into it when making these bike decisions. And so I've kind of stuck with the Japanese bikes, especially Yamaha, and it's kind of always treated me well. So, guys, it's sad. There's a twisty road in this town, and I'm almost to it. It's really sad that I don't think I'm going to be able to do it today. I'm going to try to make one pass, but I was hoping to get like 4 or 5 passes. My friend Cody's really been enjoying it. He told me about it, and it's not too far, but it's just far enough to stop us from making it when the fucking storm comes. So it kind of sucks. You know, I was hoping to show you guys, but we'll do it another day on a sunny day. Come out, make another video, and get some cool passes. But so anyway, guys, those are the bikes that I was considering and still am considering. I've been looking at them, and you know, I play with the idea of selling the bike. So I brought it up to my friend Cody because he's the same guy that bought the DRZ. And then a couple weeks later, he bought the, what is it, like a Vulcan 650? It's like a cruiser Kawasaki 650. It's a nice bike. And so now he has 2 bikes. And he's already talking about his 3rd bike. I told him, I was like, you already have 2 really, you know, a really capable, versatile machine. You have one that's really comfortable that you can put a ton of miles. Why not get something more sporty with a lot of power? Why not buy mine? And at first he was kind of adverse to it. Now he's kind of come around to it. I'm showing him like the MT-09 and stuff, and he seems to really like this one more than the MT-09, which, you know, I agree. That's why I bought this one and not the MT-09. But as soon as he kind of came around to it, he's like, well, how much you want for that bike? I was like, oh shit. Until then I was playing around with the idea. Now that he's, you know, he's not going to buy the bike right now, but now that he's a little bit more serious, it's like, man, do I really want to get rid of this bike? This is the road, but I have a cop in front of me, so of course we can't enjoy it. This is just, from all angles, today has been a freaking struggle bus, man. The train, the boat, the cop. Crazy day, man. I just, you know, I look at those other bikes, I look at like what I would get out of them, I look at how much more that would cost me up front and long term, and then I look back at my bike and I love it so much that even with him like being more serious, like, oh, I think I would like it, I don't know. I don't know, guys. If I do sell it, it would probably be in like a year. I definitely need to buy a house, and I've kind of got this plan where I do all my financing for the mortgage ahead of time, but then I also finance the bike ahead of time, and then on the same day I take out both of those loans, hoping that the rates will be even better than they otherwise could be. I don't know, they'll probably be updated instantly and my plan will go to shit, but that's my plan anyway. And you know, even with all that, I mean, I've got this bike so far and so close to exactly what I want, and every day it just does exactly what I want, and it's so much fun, and I love the looks, I love the ride. It's hard to want to sell this thing, but it's something I'm playing around with, and we'll see what happens over time. Anyway, guys, that's the video. I really appreciate you guys watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day. What bikes are you guys considering? Leave them in the comments. Talk to you guys soon. Have a great rest of your day. Later, y'all. The rain hurts, dude. It freaking hurts. Please, God, since you made everything else go badly, can you make the rain chill out? Whoa. And that's why we have lean ABS. Woo! As soon as I start talking to God, he makes me lose traction completely. Okay, he didn't make me do it. I did it. All right, God. Sorry. My bad. My bad. I'm going to be a good boy. Makes me realize why people use rain modes. Because if you don't have ABS like this that realizes you're slipping and chills everything out, I would have busted my damn ass. That's another great reason I didn't even mention is all the electronics and safeties and everything you get out of this bike make it unmatched in my opinion for the price, the value you get out of it. Unmatched, dude. Unmatched. Who else is doing this at the $10,000 price point? Freaking nobody. And you can thank all the people who bought R1s up until this point, because that's basically what you're getting. They're reusing the tech from the R1s, which is so sophisticated, but it's old tech for them, so they can just slap it on any bike and it works great, man. I'd say I appreciate y'all, but hell, I bought a 2017 R1 new, so I appreciate myself. Let me just pat myself on the back real quick right now.